Welcome, everybody, to Week 10 of the 444 DFS MVP podcast. I'm your host, John Breslin. You may know me as Squirrel Patrol, joined by Neil Orfield, Davis Maddock, Pat Corain. We may be sitting here with an empty chair by the by the end of the show. Davis Maddock may have to leave. Congratulations. I don't know if you want to
literally any minute I might have to bail, because today is the due date of my first child, and so that means probably won't happen in the 45 minutes to an hour we're doing the show, but never say never.
Yeah. All right. Well,
it'll be fun. Make for an exciting show.
That would make for an exciting show.
Yeah. Man, that would be better than the time my wife broke her wrist in the middle of a show and I had to run off, take her to the hospital. Anywho, on that note, we have an interesting slate ahead of us. Back down slightly to 10
Do
games.
Is it that interesting?
I think we do. Yeah, I enjoy it.
I need your enthusiasm, Corinne.
We like the slate, or we don't like it?
I'm into it.
Okay, yeah. So what I'll say, I think the thing is like a marked lack of injury news. Like we've had weeks and weeks now of like Rico Dowdles, Kyle Manon guys, like Trevion Henderson's, like you know, Rashad White, either working out or not working out. Now I'm not sure we have any like major injury news. So that makes it a difficult slate with like no pricing bargains at the running back position. I think some people like that better. I tend to like having like a kind of a free square. So it makes it difficult to pick out, where we're going to go without, having any obvious value plays for our rosters. I don't know that there's like necessarily ownership concentrating anywhere so far as of like Friday afternoon. But, we'll start off with the game environments. Neil, hopefully you've got something for us.
I think I've got a few that I like. Also, on top of the lack of like value, we also don't have the Bengals on this slate, so I can't just use my usual trick of play running backs against the Bengals. We don't have the Cowboys, who that also has worked for. We don't have the Chiefs, so Davis can't go to Patty Mahomes and Xavier Worthy again this week. So we lose out.
Wish I wouldn't have been able to go to them last.
I know.
Probably would have found it
on that.
Probably would have found a shipper last week with all the Bowers, and as long as Mahomes is not on my teams.
Yeah. So at least we don't have that holding us back this week. But the game environments, we do still have some pretty fun game environments. I think my top game environment is the Giants and the Bears. That one, I think both teams like could put up big fantasy points here. Both defenses are kind of weak, and like value across the board. We don't have a ton of like expensive players in that game. So I think that one is fun. Buffalo Miami clearly has like big potential. If Miami can stick in the game, we could see a lot of fantasy points scored here. James Cook obviously is playing now, so that is a big boost to the game. I will go to some of my Minnesota Vikings and Lamar Jackson. The Ravens Vikings game should be a pretty fun one, so I would rank that one up there. I see a few other games that look pretty enticing. None of them like really break away from the pack. They're like 6 games to me that like all look pretty good, and I'll leave it at those 3 and let the other guys talk about any other games that they might like.
Hey, Pat, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I like the Patriots Bucks game. I think that game's really fun. It's not, I would say one of the things about this week is that there's no like super high confidence game environments where you're like, this game's definitely going to be awesome, but there's a few that I think have some real upside. Like Giants Bears, for example, I'm like not as into, because I think that the Bears just run the ball like a bunch. Now they're gonna have 2 running backs, like they're just gonna, like, the Giants have literally the worst run defense in the league. So, but the Bears defense stinks and the Giants defense isn't good, so there could be points. So there's kind of like, it's a little bit of like beauty in the eye of the beholder here. But I do like the Patriots Bucks because you have an elite run defense on both sides. The Bucks and the Patriots are both great at stopping the run. The Bucks aren't going to have Bucky Irving. The Patriots aren't going to have Ramondre. Not that it really matters that much, but they won't have them. And so you have both teams that are in a fairly high point total game. Both have good implied team totals, and both need their passing games to be the engine of the offense. And both have quarterbacks that we think can step up to the challenge against a pretty good Bucks defense and against a decent Patriots pass defense, but neither's like totally shut down. And the Patriots, I thought, actually held up pretty well against the Falcons last week on offense. I think May had a 12.68 out against the blitz. He was going downfield, so that's pretty relevant for this matchup, given how much Todd Bowles blitzes. I think there could be some real upside here on the Patriots side and on the Bucs side, and these teams could push each other. So that's the one I'm kind of the most into, is like, this kind of like I like the over in that setup. I think it could, if the over hits, it could be like pretty fun. The Lions and Commanders is another one that I'll shout out, where the Commanders secondary is real banged up, and the Lions, Penei Sewell and Taylor Decker, both their tackles, were on the injury report yesterday. As long as they go, I'm pretty into the Lions here. I think the Lions will put up points. If they don't go, I'm going to change that opinion. But it looks like Sewell is going to play.
Sewell at least is going to go.
And they have a pretty decent reserve tackle. So as long as like one of them plays, I think they'll be okay. But I think the Lions passing game, particularly like Goff to Amon-Ra, is kind of interesting. And then the Vikings, like, this is another like kind of low confidence one, but I think the thing with JJ McCarthy, who was actually like pretty bad in the efficiency numbers last week, and I think the idea that he was like good last week is wrong.
Disagree. Go on.
No, I also disagree.
Okay. That's actually the part that makes me nervous, is that I think JJ McCarthy is like very likely bad. But the way he plays, okay, he's got this long time to throw. And so you're like, all right, well, with a long time to throw, you better be mobile. Well, he is kind of mobile. He's like Bo Nix level mobile. He's not like a true dual threat, but he runs around. His rushing numbers are like almost identical to Bo Nix's this year. Like, okay, that's something. And then, well, you better be throwing deep. He has the highest deep attempt rate in the league. He's like playing kind of like Jalen Hurts, or Jackson Dart would be maybe another comp.
I think Dart is the comp you want, where you're like, yeah, like, I don't think this guy is like gonna, win MVP or whatever, but like, he's kind of fun for our game.
Yeah.
So this is a matchup where like the Ravens pass rush is not good. The secondary is in better shape now, but the Ravens pass rush is still, like, the injuries have taken their toll. So Broderick Washington just went on IR. They don't have Matabike for the year. So this is a spot where if you have a long time to throw and you play aggressively, it could be really fun. So even if he is bad, he could look pretty good here. So this is one. But Christian Darrisaw popped up on the injury report yesterday. If he's out, then I'm like, I'm not doing Viking stuff. So there's a number of games where you can kind of talk yourself into it, but they're kind of on the margins.
Follow-up question, because you mentioned the Lions and Commanders. Like, is there anything really from the Commander side, or just like Lions packed lineups?
I mean, I guess I would just say, like, Mariota hasn't been bad. He's a huge downgrade, obviously, from Daniels, but he hasn't been bad this year. And so I think, like, he can probably push back to the extent that we need. But I want to play it from the Lions side. I'm not super interested in Commanders pieces. Even Deebo Samuel, I'm not like super interested in. I think that, the Commanders are mostly serving to just like help the Lions score points, I think.
Davis, any game environments that haven't been touched on yet that are catching your eye?
No, I just want to drive home. Like, I actually think it's sometimes better for the Lions to be against these totally hopeless opponents, because then they can get guys going who are maybe not very good. Like, we saw this with David Montgomery against the Bengals. They were like, we're going to let you throw a passing touchdown. We've seen this with JMO, like these big blowout games. They're like, all right, we're going to let JMO kind of, like John Morton says every week, like, it betrays my soul as a man that I have not gotten Jameson Williams more fantasy points, and then they never throw him the ball. But they can do that if they're up 20 points in the second half. They can be like, all right, we're going to get Jameson Williams a touchdown.
Can they?
He did it on his own last week.
Work, man.
Hey, that play last week, you can't
16.6 PPR fantasy points last week, just for the record.
That's a spike week for him.
Yeah.
It is the Commanders.
It is the Commanders. Yeah. Torrey Horton had like 30 points last week.
All right. So I think we touched on the game environments. I'll say that, I'm a little bit torn this week, because I do think that Josh Allen is my top quarterback, but I don't think that's the top game environment. I think the thing with Allen is that his price is inexplicably down, especially on DraftKings. He's why is Josh Allen the cheapest he's been all season against Miami? So like normally my like top quarterback is aligned with my top game environment, but I think the top game environment is actually the Minnesota Baltimore. It's just like the right combination of high total, like good playmakers on both sides. Like you can just see that game environment getting elevated. But it is, I think like I don't know that we really even touched on like the Rams and San Francisco that much. But like you've got Christian McCaffrey, Puka Nacua, you've got a really good value wide receiver potentially in Juwan Jennings. I guess we want to monitor Ricky Pearsall. I don't know if he's coming back, but like this is I've talked about for like single entry. I like to like play 6 or 8 different lineups and spread them out amongst like different single entry contests. But like this one might be where it's like 6 different quarterbacks or 6 different game environments even. Just because it's a really tough slate to pick out game environments. But we'll move on to the quarterback position, and Pat, we'll start with you. That we touched on the game environments. What are you looking at the QB position?
Yeah, I guess some of my optimism this week for the slate, or my enthusiasm, comes from the fact that you can definitely play Drake May. So last week we couldn't play Drake May, or at least I didn't want to, and this week I'm back in. It's a difficult matchup, but I do think the Bucs push them, and I think the fact that they really can't run the ball here in a way that's going to like drive the offense, it's putting it on May's shoulders. And he had his least efficient game of the year last year, of the year last week, but I think like his efficiency last week would have been like Bryce Young's like 4th best game, so it wasn't like he like cratered. And so, yeah, I think the production in the Patriots passing game is interesting, specifically playing it through May. I do like Allen. The thing, like Allen on his own is obviously a great play, but I was just like, man, they don't want to use. They don't like Allen is like their secondary option. Like their feature player here, I think, is going to be James Cook. They just like they're all about running the ball right now, which is annoying. McCarthy, I think, is pretty strong at 4,900, and you can stack them. Like that's pretty interesting. I think you play the Patriots game on the other side with Baker, Goff, Lamar. I have some interest in actually. He's 6,800, and he's going against a Vikings defense that's tough. But like this is a really good pass rush and blitz, but they've had some letdowns on the back end, and Lamar's awesome against the blitz. Goff is good against the blitz, and they just stifled him last week. But I think Lamar could get the better of the Vikings here. So he's interesting to me too. I'm not so interested in Mac Jones. To touch on that game environment, I think he played well against this team last week, but Mac Jones under pressure makes me nervous.
Davis, a lot of options.
Yeah. I mean, it is just all Lamar Jackson for me. Lamar in a dome, his projections are artificially deflated because the systems that are projecting him have a pretty poor 4-game rolling average for him, which is how a lot of these things work. His props are a little bit lower than they would normally be because the projections just don't look that good. But the reason they don't look that good is because he's been playing injured. Even his sample from the game against the Chiefs, he was injured, and that game finished the game with the injured hamstring. He has played 4 quarters of half effort football in the last 6 weeks, 10 days rest since then. He's in a dome. I think you're going to get Lamar at like 8% this week. I think you're going to get Zay Flowers. What was Zay Flowers even going to crack 10%? Well, Mark Andrews coming off a 2-touchdown game, crack 5% in any salary cap stuff. Probably not. Feels like literally an all-time spot. Like you'll be looking at scores on Sunday evening and you'll be like, wait, Lamar Andrews was 11% product ownership. That can't be right. And it is in fact right. Yeah. So that's like far and away my favorite spot of the week.
I'm seeing Zay Flowers is like the highest owned wide receiver.
Is he really?
Yeah. I think he's a great play. I think he's like underpriced at 5,900. I think it's a great argument. Like, I think there's an argument like, hey, like that nobody's seeing that high ownership. Like, I'm seeing like projection systems that have him.
Okay. My sheet is wrong. I saw him at 13%.
Yeah, I have him as the highest too, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm wrong. Walking it back. Maybe don't play
I love the Lamar call and play Zay too.
Yeah, you can still, yeah.
I don't know if I love Zay Flowers as the most owned wide receiver of a slate. Like, I think you could probably just do like Bateman or something, or just do it solo.
I actually do.
The whole thing with Flowers is you don't want him to have to score a touchdown.
Bateman is interesting. I noted that the Flowers dealt with 42% double coverage rate last week, and he gets a Vikings defense that double covers at the highest rate in the league. So you could be looking at, another spot where he's like, he was solid last week, but getting Lamar back, you'd be like, against the Dolphins, you'd be like, oh man, this is going to be huge. It wasn't huge. And so a ton of double coverage would be good for Bateman and potentially Andrews as well. If all the attention is focused on Zay, which it probably will be. I mean, he's very clearly their top guy.
Neil, move on to you. Any quarterback thoughts for us?
Yeah, I think this is a slate where I'm going to be like fairly spread out at quarterback, but also not like my pool is probably going to be, not include half the quarterbacks on the slate. So I think a lot of the ones mentioned, I like Allen, Jackson, May all sound great. I'll throw Dart out there as another quarterback. Just that's another game environment that I like. Dart like getting more expensive, but like has the running. I think there are some fun stacks you can do with Dart. For the most part, I'm in line with just like playing the quarterbacks already mentioned. I'll throw out. I don't know if we've actually thrown out Goff in this segment. We talked about it with the game environments, but yeah, I think Goff is a strong quarterback play this week. And then it doesn't get much. Like, I don't think I'm going to go to too many more quarterbacks than the ones we already mentioned. Maybe I'm going to consider Tua just at 4,800 in a game where they're certainly going to be needing to throw a lot, I would think. I know it's gross, but like I'll consider it. I think you'll make the pool for me in large field contests. I know.
Pool?
Yeah. I mean,
it's Olympic size.
It's a large pool. It's a large pool. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Gino made the pool last week.
Did pretty well. 27 fantasy points.
It's hard to differentiate Gino and Brock Bowers last week versus and we did talk about this pre-show that after watching such a dud last night, it's like, oh no,
I know.
Terrible game. No, it was fine. All right, I'll throw out a name we didn't mention, like Sam Darnold. Any interest, like 4 touchdown passes? I feel like he's having a little bit of a Baker Mayfield like season from last season, where it's just he's going to keep throwing 3-4 touchdown passes and outpacing his price. And at the end of the year, we're gonna, we should have just been playing like Sam Darnold way more often. Any interest against Arizona?
I think that's sharp. I mean, the Brissett stuff, like when I wrote up the Cardinals side of this, I was expecting to be like, oh man, here we go, Brissett. Like you just feasted against the Cowboys, but now you get a real defense. And I would pull up his numbers from the past and stuff. It's like he's been pretty solid. His like career efficiency is in line with like Daniel Jones's. Like it's not crazy that he could just kind of be solid to close the year and not crater in a tough matchup. And I think you really want that if you're playing Darnold, because they just want to run the ball. So you need the Cardinals to like not roll over here. But I think they could be okay enough to where the Seahawks have to kind of keep the pedal to the floor. And on the Darnold side, like they should have no problem this week putting up points. The Cardinals are down. It looks like they're gonna be down 2 corners, and they've been pretty bad at protecting the deep middle of the field, where the Seahawks are attacking relentlessly. Jackson Smith and Jigba leads all receivers in his rate of targets 10+ yards and over the middle, which is kind of like I call it the splash zone. You get a lot of yak from those targets. It's like a big factor in what was driving Tyreek Hill's production in 2022 and 2023. And he's just been incredible there. And, he's got over 4 yards per route run. So to me, it's like a matchup that sets up really well for Jackson Smith and Jigba, which is obviously really good for Darnold.
I'll close the quarterback talk with, I think we should not bury the lead. I think Josh Allen is $1,000 less expensive than he was in week 5, inexplicably. It's like getting an extra $1,000. They've got the highest implied point total in the week. It is like, it's a difficult stack, but it's weird pricing. It's like DraftKings is kind of changing their pricing a little bit in mid-season for no reason. So something to keep in mind. I think he's my top quarterback. But we'll move on to the running back position, and it's a difficult position this week. Davis, we'll start with you. Do no obvious value plays. Where do you think you'll find yourself going at running back?
I am I'm probably just putting Rico Dowdle in the I'm happy to just play him on every team, and if he gets hurt or if he fails, I wasn't gonna win anyway. He has the highest, I was looking earlier, he's got the highest rushing yards prop like line on Underdog. I guess I didn't look at Jonathan Taylor's because it was the morning game, so Jonathan Taylor might be higher. He's handled at least 22 rushes in every game that he started. So the two games that Chuba missed in last week, has 120 rushing yards in all those games. He's got a touchdown in all those games. They're playing the New Orleans Saints, who have now entered into, all right, I guess we're going to try and do this again differently next year mode. Like they traded away. I always love when these bad teams trade away their only good linemen. It's like, what's the plan here? We're just gonna, so I think the Panthers might attempt like 12 forward passes in that game.
Are they the Kyler team, by the way? I think the Saints might be the Kyler team next year.
Raiders.
So I could see. I don't know. Brady's
so much more of a Raiders
Kyler
move.
though.
Yeah. And then like A-Chain, I like A-Chain fine. I like McCaffrey fine. I like Judkins fine. I'll say my one hot take of the slate is that I like Jahmyr Gibbs more than A-Chain. Gibbs at like 10-ish% versus A-Chain. Just so much more likely that the Dolphins get blown out there. Gibbs basically like got turned into a fullback last week with the crazy blitzes from Flores. Like every time he was just having to pass block. And the way that the Lions adjusted to that was they're like, okay, well, we'll just bring Montgomery in and just run. We'll neutralize the blitz, even though we're down 2 scores. I don't think that's going to be a problem against the Commies.
Little fact check on the rushing yards props. Jonathan Taylor, 90.5 rushing yards. Quinshon Judkins, 86.5. But the highest rushing yard prop for the week is Rico Dowdle at 92.
So that's what I thought. I thought Dowdle was the highest, but I didn't want to say without checking Taylor.
Yeah. But even like and Jonathan Taylor, like not on the slate. It's at 9:30. That's why we're down to 10 games instead of 11. So yeah, that is like not. I love looking at that kind of stuff because it's like, oh yeah, I would not have thought Rico Dowdle, but that is, gives maybe a little bit more justification or certainty at the running back spot. Neil, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the one player that I like immediately hone in on is Quinshon Judkins. I think is actually kind of in a smash spot here against Jets, who have already had a really bad defense and then traded away
all their good players,
all their good defenders,
and their run stop. Like Quinnen Williams was their
run stopper. Yeah, like
that,
mean, Judkins, like
he's been really good this year. Like he's been really good. I mean, the Dallas compensation was nuts, but like he's been really good. So that's a big deal.
Yeah. So like. And are they just going to give up? Like, is this a situation like we've seen with like the Bengals, where it's just like they don't want to be there anymore. They don't want to play. They're just like they clearly
don't.
The motions.
They had to bench. So they trade Quinnen Williams, and then they bench his brother Quincy Williams, who's a linebacker.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, and it's like, well, if you're going to bench him, why don't you trade him for like a 6th? Like, what kind of? I thought you're building a culture. What is this culture?
Yeah, I mean, weird, it's bizarre. Yeah. So I mean, Quinshon Judkins is, I think, like the clearest beneficiary of the trades and of just like the Jets not having much defense left. I think we could just see Judkins run for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Jets. And he's 6,500. Doesn't like project extremely well for his price tag. Like doesn't stand out. But to me, like that's a player that I'm going to have a ton of. Obviously agree with Davis on Rico Dowdle also being just a smash here. Not going to make all of my lineups, but I'm going to have a fair amount of Rico Dowdle also. But yeah, Quinshon Judkins is the one that I really want to call out. I think like Aaron Jones actually at 5,200, assuming that he plays, which I think all indications are that he's healthy. Like he seemed to have a pretty good connection with JJ McCarthy last week. And it had been like early in the year, a split between Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. I think that's kind of gone away a little bit. Like he's looked pretty good since he's come back from his injury. He's really involved in the passing game. So I think that he could be actually part of a stack with McCarthy or a bring back or just like as a one-off. I think 5,200 as far as like, we don't have much value. I think 5,200 for Aaron Jones actually looks pretty nice here. Just given how good he has looked recently, how much, JJ McCarthy has been targeting him, which actually that goes back to early in the year in that Bears win. They had a long touchdown connection there. So I do kind of like Aaron Jones. I'll throw Woody Marks out there at 5,100. Nice matchup with Jacksonville. We've seen the role expand. Now Nick Chubb is also like, he's been limited in practice all week, could also miss. But regardless, I think Woody Marks, kind of a fun value play. But yeah, for the most part, like we've kind of named all the high end guys that we like as well. Oh, James Cook, I don't think
that's what I was going to jump in on. Yeah,
James Cook also looks great. I'll send it to Pat with that.
Well, that's kind of the the Gibbs pivot that Davis mentioned. I think I like this one a little bit better because, like, to your point, John, like this Buffalo team is going to put up points, but I think they could be leaning on James Cook here against a just completely outclassed Dolphins team. And that's like, they've really shown that they want to do that. Like they had a run heavy game plan against the Chiefs and it worked. I find this Buffalo team very frustrating because like they're doing something that I think is not maximizing Josh Allen, but it's also working just fine because James Cook's really good and Josh Allen's so good. You can do like a ton of different stuff with him. You can design a bunch of different offenses. They'll all be pretty good because Josh Allen's awesome. But I think they probably just like lean on the run game here like they tend to do, and the Dolphins aren't good against the run. James Cook's not catching any passes, which is annoying. But like, his breakaway stuff is amazing. He has an incredible success rate. Like he's kind of doing Jonathan Taylor stuff. If you look at the rushing numbers, I mean, it's not, in the same package, but it's very impressive. Like his pure rushing stuff is really, really impressive. And he's just, I think, you're kind of like, let me bet on the efficiency here rather than the projection of, he's going to catch like 5 balls like you can with Achane. So to me, it's like kind of direct pivot off of Achane where you're getting some ownership, but Achane looks like he'll be real chalky. So I like him a decent amount. Derrick Henry, I'll also mention, is kind of being somewhat interesting at 6,800. And I'm with you. I'm just like really with you on the Quinshon one. I think they also put Andre Sisco on IR, their safety. And Gardner was pretty good in the run game. Like it's just gutted. This defense is just like completely gutted.
I think we're getting to that point in the season where teams are really diverging. And we actually see that in the totals, the spreads, right? The spreads get wider. The totals for like 2 bad teams go down. Where you've got teams just giving up. Like football is an incredibly physical game. It's like getting into a car accident, like high impact, like collision every time the running back runs into the line. Like if you're not motivated, like it's just easy to like think you're giving a ton of effort, but it's just like doesn't show up. And so yeah, I think that like you've got these matchups like James Cook against the Dolphins, where it's like they just don't tackle, and like that seems like a disastrous matchup. Like and we've talked about James Cook's like comical lack of targets, but I hate playing guys like running backs like that, like Derrick Henry and James Cook, that like they just have no floor because of the targets. But like James Cook, it might not matter. Like they might not tackle him. And
you just got to play him when they're not popular. Like the week that Quinshon Judkins was like stone chalk, he had 3 touchdowns and got 27 points. Like not even a true slate breaker, but he was chalk.
Yeah.
Right.
But he's in the same spot against the Jets team that is just like running up the white flag, and everybody's like disgruntled and going home, and like I don't know, do I really want to go tackle that guy? Like maybe I'll just kind of jog,
The other thing I would say on the Brown side is that they changed the play caller, so Tommy Reese is taking over, and the Browns have been like pretty pass heavy. They had a 74% pass rate against the Patriots, which is 3% over expected. The last time we saw them, they were 79% against the Steelers. So they've been kind of like willing to just like pass a bunch when they've needed to, but it's a new play caller. So maybe that changes. And we have seen them really run the ball when they've been given a chance in the past. They had a minus 10% pass rate of expected against the Vikings. They're at minus 12% against the Dolphins. That was that Judkins game. I think like if you're Reese, first time play caller, and you've got Dylan Gabriel and you're going against the depleted Jets defense, like, I don't think I'm just like putting my reputation on Dylan Gabriel. I'm putting it on Quinshon Judkins against this run defense that's way worse than the numbers suggest. It suggests it's like solid. It's probably pretty bad. So I think and Reese has been kind of like, he came from like his background's more like, stay balanced, like keep the defense on their heels, keep the threat of the run alive. Like that's sort of when I was looking into him in the offseason, the vibe I got. So I think he'll be happy to run the ball here. And we could see a little bit different shift in identity, more towards the run with Reese calling plays now instead of Stefanski.
just want to put a bow on the running back position. Did we mention David Montgomery? Because he's only 5,000. It's just so easy to see him getting a touchdown here.
Sure.
It is.
And we just don't have the running back value that I like. Don't love playing David Montgomery because like he's probably not going to like put up a absolutely dominant score. But yeah, there's a really
give me Trevion Henderson. Give me Trevion Henderson. I know it's not a good spot for running backs, but Jennings scored the touchdown last week, which tilted everyone so hard. But what happened was he basically had a really nice like 17-yard run where he like broke 2 tackles and drugged some guys. And that was just a classic, like reward the guy for making the good play. Don't have him make literally probably the highlight of Terrell Jennings' life. Don't say, hey man, thanks. We're now going to let Trevion Henderson take your touchdown. Like, I don't think that's the plan. I don't think Terrell Jennings is the goal line back. Like Trevion probably gets like 6 catches in this game. And we all, I mean, think about if this spot happened in week 2, what would Henderson's have projected ownership have been? 35%, something
Pretty
like
high.
that. Like where our set, we're off the same.
I don't know. He's 5,600. Like he's
Yeah,
not. It's a tough rushing matchup. Like I don't think this is like
he's
free
like
square
the cheapest
adjacent.
pass catching running back by like a lot. Who's the other like Judkins doesn't catch? Let me look at my sheet and see who would even be close.
Yeah, I mean, I threw out Aaron Jones, but like looking at the game log, like it was 2 targets last week, so like he looked really good on his 2 targets, but actually was not.
I mean, ETN is 5,700.
I was going to say ETN or Henderson. I'm Henderson.
I'm taking. Yeah, I take ETN. The Texans, like we haven't talked about that game much, but Davis Mills, like when you go back and look at his stuff, it's like, oh no,
yeah,
like this dude was bad. Like I'd kind of forgotten how bad he was. We're talking about like. You know, you look at like there's a handful of quarterbacks, including like Zach Wilson and stuff, that have been worse than this guy. Since 2021, 500 plus plays. Only Zach Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Will Levis are worse in success rate. Only Zach Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Spencer Rattler, Will Levis, Sam Howell, and Bryce Young are worse in EPA per game. He's been horrible. Like this is a massive downgrade for the Texans. So I would bet on ETN as a bet that like. Jacksonville just rolls.
Yeah. EWW says Woody Marks, who I brought up before, and now you're making me question: is Davis Mills so bad that he's going to just like crater Woody Marks? Also, I don't know.
I mean, there's that potential for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe he surprises us, but yeah,
it's just such a low total game, and I think there's like a chance it hits the under.
Oh yeah,
Mills. Yeah. But
because Jacksonville might crater her too. Houston's defense is so good.
Yeah.
Pass defense especially.
Yeah. But we'll move on to the wide receiver position. Neil, we'll start with you. Without a lot of savings, like it's probably easier to get savings at the wide receiver position than other positions, right? Like a second wide receiver has a good chance of outscoring like a second running back. Your thoughts on the wideouts?
Yeah, I love Zay Flowers at 13% ownership. That's a joke. Sorry. He's the chalkiest.
That's product with Lamar.
Yeah. Zay Flowers still like he's going to project well. Looks pretty good there. Wandale, I think like another slot funnel matchup for Wandale. I think I'll probably play a bit there. He is also getting some ownership. A lot of the receivers that stand out, frankly, are getting a fair amount of ownership. I think I'll still go back to Jawan Jennings as the possibly. I mean, they have Kittle, but like alpha of the receivers there looks pretty good at 4,600 to me. Addison 5,400 looks like a pretty strong play. Like nice value there. We haven't really seen the connection yet at the NFL level with JJ McCarthy, but like they look good together in the preseason. So I think that connection is coming. Man, I want to say Nico Collins, but he has Davis Mills at quarterback, so I don't know that I'll actually do that. Pat brought up Rashad Bateman earlier, who I think is actually a really strong like contrarian leverage play on Zay Flowers, who like you look at his fantasy production with Lamar Jackson versus without Lamar Jackson, and Bateman just significantly better with Lamar Jackson. Now he's down to 3,900. Everybody's playing Zay Flowers, so I actually like the Davis called out Lamar as a quarterback. Pair him with Rashad Bateman, you're really bringing down that combinatorial ownership. So
he also
like
had 96% route participation last week, which was a season high.
That's pretty good. Well, we'll take 96%. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I have any other really strong contrarian options. that I want to throw out there. As Davis mentioned, like Tez Johnson is the chalky like value option. Actually not that chalky in the latest run, but was chalky earlier. Yeah, I think I'll leave it at those for now, and I'll throw in if I think of any others, I'll throw them in later.
All right, Pat, thoughts on the wide receivers?
Yeah, the guys who are pop. I mean, JSN I mentioned is like set up so well, but he's expensive at 8,600 and chalky, so that's tough. Amon-Ra St. Brown I think is set up well. He'll be played.
Owned him or Puka? Feels very.
I think JSN is higher owned than Puka.
Yeah.
I think JSN's comfier, like
especially with the Q tag that's been on Puka.
Yeah, and you have Adams, and like they traded for Shaheed, but I assume he'll be kind of limited and Cup's banged up. He knows the
playbook.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
That's why I think that's why they traded for Shaheed and not for anyone. Like, I mean, I assume Olave was probably available. Like, I assume you could get other wide receivers other than Rashid Shaheed.
That's a good point. I still think like JSN's he's just very, very comfy. So I think he ends up being the highest owned guy, the higher owned guy. I guess Flowers is probably higher, but go ahead.
I was gonna say,
just laughing.
A note on Rashid Shaheed. I made this point earlier, on another show that he's a speedster, so like that, like it doesn't take it weeks of learning the playbook to do like a screen pass. And that's what you want from Rashid Shaheed if you put him into a lineup, is him catching a short pass and running the length of the field or a longer pass. But I still like Jackson Smith and Jigba as well. So that maybe leads me to like why I like Sam Darnold, as a quarterback. So yeah, I think Shaheed's going to go under owned as well, just with the uncertainty and maybe not projecting well and like stuff based off of his like New Orleans numbers. But yeah, Davis, any thoughts from you on the wide receivers?
I mean, Juwan Jennings should basically be like $5,500. He has a 23% target share last 3 weeks, scored a touchdown on the first drive last week. I believe he had 3 receptions on their first drive last week, and then they just like totally shut it down because the Giants couldn't push them at all. The first Rams 49ers game was a banger that gave us 10 for 142 for Kendrick Bourne. What's happened is Jennings has shifted back into that role, and Bourne is now just the guy who's out there providing space. George Kittle has 11 targets in 3 games since coming back from the hamstring injury. Not to say you can't play Kittle, but I just feel like Jennings is like flashing red light jam play here against the Rams. I think he's awesome.
I'll shout out Marvin Harrison. Yes. I think is somewhat interesting here.
Yeah, would say it.
Yeah. I think if you're doing, I don't want to like full game stack, but if you're interested in Darnold, I would say Harrison's kind of interesting. Is like them pushing back a little. Waddle. I mean, Neil mentioned too.
Yeah.
Waddle. That would be the way to play it.
Yep.
I think. And then Wan'Dale Robinson, I kind of wrote up like as more interesting than I thought he'd be. I guess he's going to end up kind of being a little bit owned, which is annoying. But he ran like literally every route, 100% route participation last week. He was in kind of more of a shallow A-dot role last week, and yeah, he's earning targets. He's the clear number one there with Neighbors out, and it's a really weak defense. So I think he's somewhat interesting.
Can I get anybody interested in Stephon Diggs with no Kayshon Boutte?
Yes.
Right. You don't think it's Pop Douglas season? Maybe
he's not going to run enough route. He's running like a third of the routes. Kyle
Is
Williams
he really?
took over.
I guess I had not noticed that.
It's crazy. Okay. No, he had like a 7 yards per route run this past week because he didn't run. Last week he had 7.69 yards per route run with 33% route participation. He's just like not on the field. He hasn't been higher than 42%. He's been back in week 3, he was at 47. He started at 74, and then he's fallen into this really weird role. Last week, Kyle Williams was at 50% of the routes with Boutte out, and I think that's probably how they play it.
Oh man, come save my best ball bags, Kyle Williams.
I'll just throw out another wide receiver name. What about Jameson Williams? I know that we've been waiting for so long, but
sold. Say less.
Still at 4,900. It's against the Commanders, right? I think maybe you mentioned it earlier, but like remember Trey Tucker, like just going absolutely nuclear.
The Commanders are a half yard worse than every other team in football in net adjusted yards per attempt allowed. Like they are unspeakably bad against the pass, and they just lost their best corner to an ACL tear.
I don't think he was their best corner.
Was Lattimore not their best? I just know
Lattimore have been playing like ass this year.
I mean,
it doesn't help, but yeah,
that's all.
Yeah, he was pretty washed.
Basically, the thought, John, do you agree with this? You kind of want to play JMO in a spot where the Lions can just dick around, because then it means they can draw up the play where JMO somehow gets wide open enough to score.
We talked about that with David Montgomery. Was it going to Cincinnati? That we know he's going to do something, right? He ended up throwing the touchdown pass. Like Dan Campbell is that guy, right? That's going to be like he's going to buy into the narrative himself. He's like probably going through Twitter, like reading narratives, and it's like Jameson Williams, really having a down season. Williams did have a touchdown last week, but like they're going to be able to pick and choose what they want to do against this Commanders defense. And that I have much less faith in Marcus Mariota this season, watching him so far, that the Commanders might not be able to move the ball, but it might not matter to the Lions. Like they're going to do what they want to do. And if what they want to do is get Jameson Williams feeling good about himself, rolling into the playoffs, that they're just going to get him a big, long touchdown that's going to pay off a $4,900 price tag. So he's a guy that's perennially or consistently under-projected, and he's been matching that projection, matching his projection most of the time so far this season. But yeah, he's going to have a breakout, and better to be ahead of it, I think, than behind it.
I was hoping you would say some nice things about Stephon Diggs.
Oh, Diggs. Yeah, just Stephon Diggs. I just think it's primarily the idea that I don't know that the Patriots are going to be able to run the ball. So they're facing Tampa Bay. It's a pass funnel, and they're down a wide receiver with Keyshawn Boutte. There is the fear of Kyle Williams, the guy that Neil wants to save his best ball bags, right? That somebody else just gets, maybe it's a next man up, or does stuff concentrate? And I think if stuff is going to concentrate, it's most likely to concentrate on Stephon Diggs. Diggs has been kind of found something each week to save his fantasy score, but hasn't had a breakout, but hasn't really had a crater, or a dud either. But this week, if there's a little bit more passing volume, I guess Diggs has been doing okay on low passing volume. But what if this is the week that the passing volume actually increases because of both the matchup and the injury situation? So I think Stephon Diggs is definitely in play. Diggs has always this season been priced much better on FanDuel for what it's worth. So I think he's an excellent play over there. I think he's a play that we should be considering for DraftKings as well, even at a little bit of a higher relative price tag. Just because of the matchup and the injury situation.
Can I throw out just a couple more names now that I have thought about it more? Pay up to be contrarian. What do we think of Devontae Adams? He's way too close in price to Puka. So I get why nobody wants to play Devontae Adams, but also a fantastic matchup with the 49ers. I think it's sort of sneaky. Yeah. Any interest there?
In the PFF's expected points model, he's basically identical to Puka. Because he gets it's different.
It's fake expected points though. It's Joe Mixon expected points. There was a possession in the London game,
but he actually scores. He's not Mixon,
dude. There was a possession they threw to him in 4 straight plays in the end zone. 4 straight.
I know we got to fix the expected points. That's worth 20 points. No, right. It's not.
Yeah. I'm gonna throw out one of the grossest names that I've thrown at you so far this year. Jerry Jeudy. Again, picking on that Jets.
I was really hoping we could somehow get through this show without mentioning that he's 3,900 with Fannin playing with an injured hamstring.
Jerry Jeudy is 3,900 with Fannin playing with an injured hamstring. He has not been targeted much the past 2 games. It's been 2 and 4 targets, but 13 targets in week 6. Which
Gabriel is working on some kind of modern record for not throwing to wide receivers. I believe Reeves just told me, and if this stat is wrong, he'll correct it later on Angles and Upside. But I believe he is targeting wide receivers on less than 25% of his dropbacks.
That is pretty insane. But as you mentioned, we do have Harold Fannin.
I'm not sure that's a Dylan Gabriel stat.
I mean,
I think that's a pop. I think that's a pop gun arm stat.
Yeah.
It might also be the receivers are Jerry Jeudy and guys.
Isaiah
are
Bond now
Jerry Jeudy.
out for this week, by the way. Isaiah Bond out. We've got
Tillman might be
is
back?
now questionable. Tillman might be back. Yeah, he's questionable, so that could throw a wrench in things. Then you could think
I don't
about
think it throws a
Tillman
wrench in
instead.
anything. Tillman
I
stinks.
mean, they all stink. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what do we do with any of these guys? But like they're so cheap. And again, this could just end up being one of those defenses. Like you said, though, like Pat made the point earlier of like they're probably just not going to throw the ball much in this game. I don't know. It's just like we did have 52 pass attempts 3 weeks ago. That was that was with Stefanski calling plays, I believe. 35 last week. I don't know. Just I'm just as a value play in a potentially good matchup. Just throwing it out. It's like
he's almost, a 19% target share. Talking about expected points, he's at 11.5 expected points. He's basically like half that. He has 6 points per game in PPR, but
the last time I looked,
twice as much as he does.
The last time I looked, he's pacing to set a modern day record for negative expected points. He had negative 46 expected points. And I believe no one in the last, like since Best Ball Mania came around, has been under negative 100 expected points for a whole year. And he was pacing to beat negative 100 expected points.
Impressive.
I mean, that makes him a positive regression candidate.
It does. It does.
He's been historically bad. What if he's just normally bad?
Yeah.
I'll throw out some ugly names, guys that I like better, like Michael Wilson and Ray McLeod both at 3,300. I think they're both going to be pretty under the radar, but Wilson's I think getting an upgrade at quarterback.
Do you guys know what Ray McLeod's route participation was last week?
87%.
92%.
Yeah. He's on the Giants now, right?
He's on the Giants now.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Something to consider. And if I'm correct, like last week was his first active week with the Giants. I mean,
it was,
yeah. So like, there's no reason why he can't take over more responsibility at just 3,300. Like, what if he becomes one of the guys? Like they don't have Malik Neighbors. So, we'll move on to the tight end position. Pat, we'll start with you. Is there anything catching your eye at tight end?
One sec. At tight end, I mean, Trey McBride set up really well. This is, like I kind of like McBride's been getting there on touchdowns, ironically, with Brissett. He's 4 touchdowns in the last 3 games. But he also is still racking up targets. So kind of like Marvin Harrison is like a piece, if you're interested in this game. I wouldn't like double stack the Cardinals here. Seattle's a really tough defense, but I have some interest in kind of one-off pieces, including McBride. Hunter Henry I like a lot, 3,500. That's probably my favorite stack. I do like Diggs, but May and Henry's probably a slight favorite for me there. Laporta, I think, is interesting. I mean, if you look at the first read stuff, he's clearly the number 2 option in Detroit. Maybe that changes as they try to get Jameson, morale boosted. But Laporta is the number 2 guy, is like kind of their baseline play calling. So I think he's pretty interesting here. Kincaid should be really fun, but he's going to run like 48% of the routes, which is a bummer. And then George Kittle is just at some point going to smash. And it's a slate where we're like, where's the upside? Well, it might be George Kittle. He's going to be owned, but I get it.
Didn't we have a thing on the show that like Trey McBride's lack of touchdowns go back to high school? Like they it's like he just doesn't get touchdowns
because he's never played with Jacoby Brissett before.
Jacoby Brissett comes in like 4 touchdowns in 3 games. Like, maybe it wasn't Trey McBride.
McBride is like okay. Let me check my sheet so I don't misquote again, like I did with the other one. So I in my sheet, McBride is 4.5 points better than every other tight end.
Yeah.
Is
that
a lot of points?
Is that basically like your tight end thoughts? Is like Trey McBride or bust or
Trey McBride, or find a guy who's going to score a touchdown, and your guess is probably as good as mine.
Yeah, I think it's a flow chart week. I think we've had this flow chart before, but like, can you afford Trey McBride in your lineup? Like, if yes, play Trey McBride. If not, like, well, who is the tight end that goes with the quarterback in your lineup? Like, play him. So it might be a flow chart week.
Does your tight end play with Davis Mills? Don't play him.
Don't play that guy.
Neil, any other thoughts on the tight end position? And I have a name or two to throw out.
I think that you just like kind of explained it perfectly. That is very much a flowchart week. I kind of came in like hot on wanting to play some David Njoku with the assumption that Harrow Fannin misses, which I still might do. Like we have seen Dylan Gabriel targeting the tight ends quite a bit, mostly Fannin. But if Fannin misses, I think Gabriel Njoku at 3,200 becomes somebody that I'm going to have a lot of interest in. But yeah, for the most part, I think I agree that it's just like there are a lot of like fine tight ends on the slate. No like slam dunks other than Trey McBride.
What about Juwan Johnson with Shaheed gone?
That's a good call.
Targets concentrating a little bit. He's already at a 19% target share this year. 1.37 yards per hour is not great, but it's not terrible. He's got 10.4 expected points per game. Like he's had it. The role looked like it was gone. There's a 3-week stretch where he had target shares of 11, 15, and 8%, but it's back up over the last 3 weeks, 20, 23, 17, and 20% targets per out run, which isn't as good as he was to start the year, but it's like close. So
Tyler Shuck is college roommate, right?
Is that right?
You guys can correct
It's literally true. That is not made up. Neil just said a true thing. Juwan Johnson, 5-year NFL veteran on his second contract, college roommates with Tyler Shuck at Oregon.
That's insane.
I thought it was bullish. It's bearish. It's a bearish fact.
Well, it's a real
bullish for this game though. Bullish for this week.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing with Shuck is his efficiency last week wasn't that bad. It was like rattlery. So they might just be able to do what they've been. It's like the Saints might just be kind of the Saints, despite the quarterback change, where they're like, not awful. They're just not good.
Small correction, not roommates, but they were teammates. I wanted to fact check myself.
So teammates is bearish because it just means Shuck is really old. Roommates would be bullish.
Yeah, they don't really like each other that much.
Right. Yeah.
All right, I've got a tight end to throw out. Guy, first round draft pick, just had a breakout game with 32 DraftKings points at the tight end position. Are we really just going to not play Colston Loveland? Because
no, he's my favorite. No, he's my favorite because I think you get a 1 week grace period before all the projection systems project Komet for like 0.
Yeah,
this is your grace period. This is your kind of your last chance.
And then
I like it.
Another name. What about Greg Dulcich?
You're right. He looked good in his first game. Yeah,
I think they released Tanner Connor.
But I was actually hoping to get someone else's perspective about this because Julian Hill missed last week and Julian Hill is back now. Also, I'm wondering, does that mean that Dulcich goes back to running like 7 routes? Although it's kind of hard, to put the Greg Dulcich toothpaste back in the tube.
That's right.
He only had 47% round participation last week, which makes me nervous.
I think the coach week was like, we want to get him like more involved as we go. Like we're going to see how ready he is in the first game. So I think it might be like a positive trend there in the route participation.
Is it really all that different than Waller coming in off the couch?
That's what I was thinking. Like, do you think if Dulcich gets hurt, they're going to like sign Jordan Cameron?
What's Jordan Reed doing?
Yeah. Jordan Reed
available?
Gary Barnidge?
He probably had to medically retire.
Yeah,
the hamstrings, right? With Reed.
Well, he had concussions.
Reed was concussions. It was sad.
Yeah.
I remember Reed catching the first pass of the season for the Commanders, Washington football team at the time, and like just getting up and celebrating and pulling a hamstring and missing the next 6 weeks.
If you run any filters on Pro Football Reference for like young tight ends, like rookie tight ends, first 2-year tight ends, it'll be like Gronk, Mike Ditka, Brock Bowers, Jordan Reed. Yeah. It's insane how good he was. So
I have a memory of
pick too.
Of listening to Living the Stream, listening to JJ and Denny talk about Jordan Reed as I was in I was in the East Village in an apartment an apartment that didn't have a window. It had a window that looked out onto like a chute that just went down to the bottom of the building and it didn't go outside. Anyway, Jordan.
All right. Now that we've had our Jordan Reed nostalgia, any closing thoughts on the week from anyone?
Last week was kind of like a play whoever you want because there were so many good spots. In this week, I don't think it is that way because it feels so likely that one of McCaffrey, JSN, or Puka delivers like you had to have them because how many guys are even going to score over 30 this week?
Right.
maybe one, like we might have 0. Like if McCaffrey and JSN and Puka kind of just have average games, this might be like 189 takes down the SPY, and it was just like the right stack. So I probably will be pretty focused on using one of those 3 guys, and then maybe like overstacking makes sense this week, like 5 guys from a game to just try and capture the right game environment.
I like the slate because you can go. This is a slate where you have total permission to talk yourself into stuff. Where it's like this. I see upside here. I'm gonna chase it. It's like it could be terrible. Like this game could actually suck, or this player is really fragile. But you have total permission. Like Rashad Bateman, man. If you're into that, play him. You know, like there's lots of different ways you can go because hunting for upside is how I think we win this slate. Is hitting on upside other people didn't see. So I think it's kind of a fun week.
Yeah. I was just actually going to say that, like, Davis, I think you took the word right out of my mouth of overstacking. That I think that not much is differentiating itself. So I'd much rather go with the correlation, like overstack. And then, like, when you're like overstack, you're getting down to like the 3rd wide receiver or whatever. Like, you're playing Rashad Bateman over somebody else that's like more expensive. And then that allows you to pay up for like Christian McCaffrey or Puka or JSN or whoever your guy is. And then, like, yeah, one of those guys is going to deliver like a 30-point performance. So you're basically overstacking. You're trying to hit on the right upside guy, and I think that's the week.
100%. That was exactly what I was going to say. Also,
yeah. All right, we'll leave it there.
We have a comment in the chat that says this slate encourages very bad decisions.
That's right, like Rashad Bateman.
Yeah. Rashad Bateman. All right. On that note, we'll get out of here. Good. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Hope to catch you next week. Good luck this weekend. Hope to see you at the top of the leaderboards, and we're out of here.